What if you became senseless? Think about that. There was a term when I was growing up, well, I'm going to knock you senseless. Well, think about it. What if you could quiet your senses? What would that do? That would open you up to a whole different world, a whole new experience. Because right now, your senses have been conditioned. They've been programmed that when you smell something, you have an association. When you see something, you have an association. When you taste something, hear something, feel something, you have associations attached to them. And guess what? You've labeled them as good or bad. If you were senseless, wouldn't that be looking at life through the eyes of the observer? Looking at it without preference? That's interesting because our senses, all they are vessels to take in the experience of the 3D world. And those senses bring in that experience. Our mind looks at it. Our mind forms an opinion. It attaches an emotion to it. And therefore, we become, I guess, indoctrinated, hypnotized, domesticated. How about programmed? And so all of our life then, what do? We are attracted to what we believe are good that our senses have given us that we like. And then we try to run away or we try to avoid the things that our senses don't like. I can remember going back that for whatever reason, as I was growing up, my father would make soup every day. Make soup. He was a chef. He was a fireman, but he was a chef prior to that. He made soup. And because something I did and associated with my dad about soup, I would never eat soup. My senses said no. My smell, my sight, my taste. And yet today, I make soup. I eat soup, just like my dad. I decided to look at it differently. I decided to not trust what my senses say and form a whole new opinion. That's really interesting. What about the idea of smoking? Let's take that. Your senses have something to say about that, don't you? There's the taste of the cigarette. There's the smell of the cigarette. There's the effect of the cigarette having on you, the sensation of the heat or the smoke going in. At one time when I was young, I was a smoker. I thought it was great. I'm now a non-smoker, been a non-smoker for God knows 41 years now. None of those senses matter to me. I changed. I changed what the senses meant to me. Are you feeling what I'm trying to say to you? There may be things that you don't like because of the sensory input that's been conditioned. Maybe it's been conditioned by your mom and dad, by your religion, by your ethnicity. I love going into deeply ethnic parts of a community and tasting really authentic ethnic food. Then I have to open my senses, like when we went to Italy. I had to open my senses that what I thought was Italian food was Americanized Italian, very different. And then when I went to India, I had to open up what is real Indian food, not what we get in America. Then you go into like Chinatown here in Dallas, a little place in Dallas. Oh my God, it's so different than any other Chinese restaurant. My senses are expanding. And I believe your senses can help you expand and experience a greater and greater life if you're open to not being locked in to the attachment you put on those senses. It's about freeing yourself to experience a greater life. It's about becoming more and more and more aware. So today, how can you expand what you believe senses are so that you can experience a greater life? It's your choice. Maybe try a new restaurant, a new recipe. Could be anything. With that, my friends, it's your day. I hope someone knocks you senseless in the most pleasant way. Much love.